May your life be as a song, resounding in the dawn, to sing awake the light, and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night.
May your life be as a song, resounding in the dawn, to sing awake the light, and softly serenade
to sing awake the light, and softly serenade the stars, ever
May
dancing
your life
circles
be
in the
as a
night.
song, resounding
May
in the
your life
dawn,
be
to sing
as
awake
a
the
song,
light, and
resounding with the dark, to sing awake the light, and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night.
Please join me in the responsive reading found in your order of service. Welcome to Fountain Street Church. This community frees my mind and helps me clarify my values. Welcome to a liberal and liberating church. This community helps me grow my soul. Welcome to a place to heal. This community helps me change myself and the world. Good morning and welcome to Fountain Street Church. My name is Charlie Gallmeyer, and this church has been the center of my spiritual life since before I can remember. My main area of activity in the church is with musical activities. I sing in the choir. I sing in the new Care Choir that I'll tell you more about in a minute. I serve on the choir board, and I also serve on the music committee, which is a group that is charged with the responsibility of helping the music director expand the musical offerings in this church beyond the wonderful but traditional core choir activity. Fountain Street Church is a liberating place, maybe for many reasons, but among them chief would perhaps be the ability to embrace a paradox. In this church we learn that truth is not a simple black or white proposition, and that very often there seem to be conflicting ideas that both have validity. We learn to appreciate the journey as much as a spiritual destination that we all sort of vaguely have in the back of our minds. We learn to appreciate the value of doubt as well as the value of faith. We appreciate our freedom to look at the world differently from others, and we also appreciate the opportunity to respect and utilize the wisdom of past ages. Music is for many of us an expression of faith. It's an avenue to enlightenment, and it's an opportunity to reach out to others, and it was that type of musical opportunity that gave rise to the Care Choir that you see over here on my right, your left. It was a happy coincidence, really, as a result of the choir being invited to go to Porter Hills and sing Christmas carols every year. Thank you for that, Evie. And all of a sudden, a couple years ago, it occurred to me that that was valid and important and significant as any church service we were part of, and why should we wait a whole year for a single opportunity to have that musical outreach? And so this new group was founded with the idea of bringing musical comfort to those who have life-challenging circumstances or who just can't come to church or choose not to come to church, but still would like to have musical spiritual expression. Our group meets 2 Friday afternoons a month, once to practice and be together and make music together and enjoy that, and once to visit someone who's invited us to come sing with and for them. You're welcome to join this group. You just need to be able to carry a tune. Most of us don't read music all that well. And you're welcome to invite us to sing. We're anxious to have opportunities to share our musical, spiritual ideas with you. And I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't want to have this wonderful group singing for you, because really we all have life challenges at some point or another. So talk to me, talk to Marilyn, our wonderful director, if you're interested. And welcome again to Fountain Street Church, where you belong.
The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. She makes me lie down in green meadows, beside the still waters she will lead. She restores my soul, she rights my wrongs. She leads me in the path of good things. She fills my heart with songs. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely, surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our Mother and Daughter and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. May I be filled with loving kindness.
morning. I feel that I must open my remarks this morning with an announcement. And maybe the announcement emphasizes the need for healing in our world. The trajectory of this service has been so beautiful to this time. So I hope you can keep your spiritual balance. But about 2 o'clock this morning, a gunman went into a gay bar in Orlando, Florida, and opened fire. Over 50 are dead. Over 50 are wounded, and the gunman is dead. Somebody mentioned that because I had not seen the news. I don't turn the television on in the morning, but easy enough to check with a cell phone, and we realize the need for healing. Of course, that's a personal thing first. We have to heal ourselves. We work on that. That's a goal for everyone, even those who have no clue how. And some resort to violence, thinking that will help assuage some of the turmoil or anger or frustration in their life. So whether it's meditation or medication or whatever else we might turn to, we know there is a need for healing. But today I'd like to speak about communities of healing, because you are connected in numerous communities, some willingly, some unwillingly, possibly a work environment or a family relationship that you were into not because of much choice, or at least the community has evolved and you're still in it. But of course we have those wonderful communities of friends that we choose, and social organizations, professional organizations. So there's many networks of people that we're connected with, all a community of sorts. Now, many of these are not explicitly healing communities, but nonetheless, we are influenced by them, whether it's a book club, a music ensemble, a golf team, or whatever else it might be. Even though there's no explicit declaration that this is a healing community, you feel it, and that's why you're there, because you experience love and support and caring in that gathering of people, whatever the purpose. But of course, there are other communities who make the declaration that they are, in fact, healing communities. They may not say that directly, but they say they're communities of values and communities that lift up certain principles and things that we must believe and pursue to make this a better world, to make ourselves better people. There's a variety of communities that make that claim. Of course, all religious communities do. But there are others, support groups of various kinds, whether it's drug-related or disease-related or mental health or bereavement or divorce or whatever. There's many support groups that seek for healing. There's some that work on the planet. The earth needs healing. There's some that work on war recovery, on the reintroduction of incarcerated persons to society. Yes, there's a variety of communities doing very good work in our world. And we have choices about which communities we are involved in. And just as we realize we should not stay in toxic relationships, we should not stay in toxic communities either. We need to find those communities that truly do feed our soul, that do free our mind and grow our soul. In doing a little research for my words this morning, I came across an organization I had never heard of, an unusual title for its purpose. It's called MAD in America. And here's their mission statement. MAD in America's mission is to serve as a catalyst for remaking psychiatric care in the U.S. and abroad. We believe that the current drug-based paradigm of care has failed our society, and that the scientific research as well as the lived experience of those who have been diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder calls for profound change. And isn't it true that we seem to find our personal problems can be solved with drugs of various kinds, legal and illegal, and that our social problems can be solved with violence? We certainly have strange ways of trying to deal with our frustrations and our conflicts. So healing communities are so very necessary. First, I would suggest that a healing community is a safe and non-judgmental place where you are accepted. And a healing community has a clear purpose. They have a statement of mission that somehow relates to the idea. And the organization has some integrity. And by that I mean there's not conflicting messages. Excuse me as I dive off deep onto this one, but my fundamentalist background, I grew up learning that God loves me but would send me to hell if I didn't do the right things. A little bit of a conflicting message there that my BS detector as a teenager said, wait a minute, this isn't working. And yet there are people that live in communities that have conflicting principles, like peace through violence kind of thing, right? So our words and our declarations have to be matched together, so there's some integrity in the words, but also be matched with our deeds. We say here, and importantly so, we're more about deeds than creeds. You can say a variety of things. It's helpful to say the right things because we need to know the path we're on and make that clear for ourselves. But then it's going out there and acting and behaving and living out what we proclaim. And sometimes we live it out without even proclaiming it. We just do it. How wonderful. So the organization needs to be involved in the education and the processes of achieving social justice and healing for the world and all people. Now, regrettably, some organizations, mainly religious ones, are based not on factual and scientific and rational thought, but rather on mythological fantasy and dogmatic ideology. And that's why it's so important to free the mind. Our ideas, personal and communal, need to be tested against reality. Nature heals. The earth heals. The sun heals. Relationships heal. If they're good, if they're right, if they're based on reality. If we rely on the supernatural, I'm afraid we might be disappointed and have to justify our beliefs with ever more bizarre explanations. We need to keep it real. We have a difficult time in this world with our religions. We have major religions, I mean religions of billions of people. Islam has now entered the month of Ramadan. Various estimates about 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. There's 2 billion Christians, about 1 billion Buddhists, another billion Hindus. And Judaism, while small, has a tremendous religious influence in the world, or at least historically it has. I'd like to sketch out very briefly 4 religious perspectives and the good they offer us and the dangers. Of course, the earliest Judaism was founded some 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. And it seems to me today that Judaism, along with Islam and Christianity, are suffering from extreme diversity. But for Judaism, it's about identity, cultural or religious. There's a lot of cultural Jews that are not religious. And so the idea of community and, importantly, needing laws to have the community function well is something we've inherited from that religious perspective, and it's been a blessing. And then Buddhism talks about right thinking. We not only need community, but we need to be thoughtful, compassionate, loving, peaceful people living in harmony with the earth, with each other, and within ourselves. So we get the wonderful idea of community and laws that we might live well, and then the meditative Buddhist perspective of harmony and meditation. And then Christianity comes along and offers us an ethic of love, that all of our living needs to be against that standard of loving what is important, our philosophical ideas, as well as our neighbor. So we need to behave well, right? And then along comes Islam, who tells us that we need to honor and worship that which is most important. And so they have rituals and customs and traditions in which they have great devotion. And so the idea of lifting up something of value and honoring that with ritual and so on, tradition, is good, as long as it's not taken too far. So for all of the major religions, we learn great and important things. So a good and healing community is one that has a sense of proper values, right thinking, good behavior, and honoring the most important things. Now we choose our communities, not initially, right? Initially when we're born, we grow up in a family, and that family, for better or worse, immerses us in a community, often a faith community, or no religious community at all, which I think is a little dangerous because the world is dominated by religious thinking one way or another, and so it's good to be aware. But we choose our communities after a while, and we here, of course, are choosing a community that honors and respects each individual and seeks to free our mind, that encourages us to live with a commitment to peace and justice. There was posted on the web, of course, where you learn all things true and wonderful, these ways of living that can encourage healing. And these are just the usual things you might find, right? That we need to withhold our judgment about people and practice compassion, to be present in the moment, to listen, to offer hope, and to awaken our consciousness to be aware and commit ourselves to personal and spiritual growth. Now, those are all wonderful things. The question is, can we find a community that allows us to do all those things? One free of dogma. I think that picture is so important. Not only did NASA give us that in 1971, but we have recently gotten images from the Hubble telescope. Now, this is truly humbling, isn't it? To look out at the universe and realize the immensity of it. It's wonderful to see how precious this little planet is and our time. Did you notice that when you got up this morning? How beautiful the world was? And we have this moment to be alive. How precious it is. So we always need to keep that idea of our connectedness to the world, to each other, and free our mind from all those dogmas and traditions that would lock us into bad ideas. And there's a lot of loud voices with harsh ideologies yelling at us these days. So we need to grow our soul that we might reconnect and stay connected with that which feeds us the good things, because we do need to change the world. And we start by changing ourselves, course correcting, to stay on that narrow path. Narrow is the path and few shall find it, right? But in this community we find synergy. That is, it's more than just a gathering that everybody contributes their own energy, although we do that, but in the process there becomes something greater, something better, something beautiful. It's not just your singing. It's how you touched all of us and created something in this space that is beyond us all, beautiful and good. It's called synergy, which is the interaction or cooperation of two or more organizations, substances, or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects. Together, we are stronger. And so we need to participate with dedication and support for our communities that heal us, and that heal our community, and that heal the world. I don't want to forget my last page. That healing comes from many places, from many peoples, from many different religions and traditions and philosophies. And so I want to end with a quote from Michael Jackson. He wrote a song called "Heal the World" in 1991. And 10 years later, in 2001, he said this: "Heal the World" is a song that he was most proud to have created. He also created the Heal the World Foundation, a charitable organization which was designed to improve the lives of children. So here's the words, some of the words from that song. And it's not that it's all that great a quote, but I think it's important to realize many people from many different traditions and cultures and ways of life are working on this. And that's why we need to be compassionate and caring and nurturing of all the diversity around us. And here are the words from Heal the World song by Michael Jackson. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. And so that's our challenge. Not only for us as individuals to become better people, yes, we all need to do that, but choose those communities which help you do that, and then help that community be a healing and nurturing and compassionate organization so that we can touch the world and make it a better place. May you be blessed this summer. Next Sunday, 10 a.m. in the chapel. And we continue to celebrate our vibrant community that heals us in our journey. May you be blessed this day. Amen.
In your order of service, you will find a piece of paper. And as I shared at the beginning of the service during announcements, you are welcome to write something on this piece of paper. It can be a hope, a concern, a name, an ache, a suffering. Could be for a friend, for a family member, for someone you do not know, for a community. It could be for yourself as well. And after the closing words, you're welcome to just walk forward and to place the piece of paper in that bowl along with the others that will come forward. If walking forward isn't comfortable for you, if there's a neighbor that's walking down, just hand them your paper and they'll bring it down for you. And our care choir will be singing around this bowl. Talk about an example of synergy. Example of synergy, of simply being together and recognizing that we are not separate, and simply being in the presence of one another and naming and sharing and laying our burdens down together brings healing. Brings healing. So I leave us with these words, some of which we'll hear in just a moment. May nothing disturb you. May nothing trouble you. May nothing frighten you. Those that seek shall never go wanting. Nothing can disturb, nothing can frighten. God alone fills us, the divine, the source from which we come, our essence. May we be filled with loving kindness. Our worship today has ended, but our service begins again. Go in peace.